Have you checked the children?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Jaime Fuego here.
Here to review a new VOD movie release that, if I'm not mistaken, Fuego, was intended to be a theatrical release.
Yes, it was. Yep, and it's one of those other situations that we've seen so much in 2020 where it's like theatrical at home is what they describe it as. So, and it's not being dumped onto a streaming service. They're actually hoping people spend $20 to see it, kind of like with Bill and Ted Face the Music, and
I spent $25. I own it.
Yeah, and Antebellum being another, one that did that too. So, yeah,
I'm okay with it. I'll be honest with you guys. So we'll
Talking
do this
Love and
review like we
Monsters.
normally talk. We're talking about Love and Monsters.
That had a previous title that's eluding me, I guess, and since ultimately this is what they went with, that's on
We
board.
did do a trailer reaction to this,
We
right?
did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at the
we did.
very last minute.
And
if
we
I'm
were
not
stoked
mistaken.
about the Teen Wolf guy being in it, Michael Rooker being in it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Monsters being in it.
Obviously.
So, yes, this one stars Dylan O'Brien from Teen Wolf MTV show fame, as well as a number of other things. He's actually made his way into a lot of other projects already at this point, including he was the main protagonist for the 3 Maze Runner movies that came out. So
I haven't watched any of them, but I know that's a popular.
He was the main guy.
It's a popular YA series.
Yep,
man.
indeed. So Dylan is, and in fact, he had a serious injury on the last movie, which is
I
why
heard
they
about that.
delayed,
They delayed the
for like
production.
6 months production. Yeah, so
That's
he
something-
almost didn't come back to acting as a result. I am quite glad that he did. Dylan O'Brien, ever since I watched him in the Teen Wolf series, he plays Styles in the Teen Wolf series, and he did such a great job. He is one of those actors that is just so utterly likable and charismatic that he could be 30 and play 15. He could be 15 and play 30. Like, well,
You're not
maybe
the first person who was mentioning
He's
that, though.
super
Yeah.
young,
Yeah.
but he's so charismatic. He's like, to me, he's got the Rock levels of charisma, where he's just
Wow.
an engaging
Bold
guy
statement.
to watch.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, I like Dylan O'Brien. I loved him as Styles. He was an extremely good actor. He was great in The Maze Runner because he's the only thing kind of worth watching in those movies. And he's phenomenal in this as like what would you call it? An underdog, like
Most
someone that
definitely
you
an
definitely
underdog.
don't expect to have the success that he ends up having. I love it. He's great.
Yeah, he had an interesting essence of being the timid kind of. We're gonna have you stay back and cook and
Right.
stuff. You're not gonna go out
You
and
make
scavenge.
great minestrone.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to have you out with the monsters because you would be a liability, and we'd like the other things you bring to our group in this bunker. And so, just to let everybody know, I mean, it's a post-apocalyptic kind of thing where the world has been overrun by these like
Mutated insects.
Yeah, well, and not just insects. There's
Well,
the
mutated
toad,
creatures,
yeah,
correct.
just like animals of any kind we previously had. They have grown exponentially. I mean, think of the movie Them, right?
Yep.
With the giant ants,
ants.
and that's exactly the sort of thing. But imagine if it happened to all kinds of different animals of all varieties across the world.
Crabs to
Now, the toad in the swimming pool was one of my favorites.
That was
man.
great.
That was cool.
It was all good.
Yeah. So I mean, overall impressions of this one, despite being a PG-13.
It was a PG-13.
monster,
Look, it was
so-
not meant to be. It's not a horror movie by any
No.
stretch. Yes, we're covering it on the horror show because
It has creatures.
it has creatures, and it is a PG-13. It could be considered a PG-13 horror adventure movie. Quite
I think
easily.
it is more so of the adventure variety than the horror variety.
For sure, but look, hey, don't talk them out of what I'm saying.
I'm not. Hey, if you're in.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There are definitely horror aspects. It's definitely worthwhile watching because again, it is a giant monster movie. It's just the creatures are mutated versions of creatures that we actually know, and it is about essentially a lovesick puppy in human form.
And that's where it endeared itself to me because the other word in the title is love. And he had this girl that something serious was happening with, and he was feeling genuine stuff.
And then the apocalypse happens.
Exactly. And he hasn't seen her for what, like 5 years?
So he's been in his colony, and she's been in her colony. Apparently, they have luckily found each other via radio.
Yep.
But he is still, he's living with his colony, and the colony has all become couples.
Yeah.
Like everyone within the colony has matched up
He's the
except
odd
for
man
him.
out.
He's
Yeah.
the only one that
Poor guy.
hasn't, and he's in love with this girl from before the apocalypse, who he has
From the
recently
before time,
found.
long ago.
And now he's like, you know what? She's 85 miles away or whatever it is, like 90 miles away. I'm going to go to her.
It's not that far in a car, but if you're on foot, man, and you're going to make
On foot in the
journey
post-apocalypse with
so much stuff
giant
that'll kill
bugs.
you.
Yes. So that's the whole point. He goes to try and get his love in this world of monsters. And I got to be honest, the movie is just straight charming.
It is.
It's just charming.
Yeah,
it's the kind of movie that you don't get that often, that is just enjoyable on a level. Yes, there's not a ton of peril involved.
Not
yes,
particularly.
there's not a ton of depth, but it is so fun and enjoyable. And with Dylan O'Brien as your charismatic lead, you forgive a lot. You know what I mean?
And his narration is just very fun and compelling and quirky. He's got that sort of just kind of oddness to him that I really appreciate. And you root for him, and you also you get behind very much the fact that he just needs to see this girl one more time, whether it's to get closure or to reconnect and then have it become something more.
No, they're meant to be
whatever.
together. He knows they're meant to be together.
No, we're not spoiling anything.
No, I mean that's the whole point. He knows they're meant for each other.
Yeah, and so I most definitely I got behind the guy. Whoa, that's kind of crazy.
Whoa, careful.
I was behind his cause, so to speak, and I mean, it's one as a hopeless romantic, not to get too stupid into it. I definitely identify, especially back in those weird years of high school, with trying to find love and not really, succeeding and all of that other stuff. This sort of storytelling still resounds with me because of that.
And you overall enjoyed it, right?
Oh, I dug this movie, man.
100%.
I can't say I was like over the moon for it and it'll be in like my tops of the year, but I thought his performance, I really, just to round out the overall, I didn't mind that there wasn't a bunch of blood and stuff like that. I actually wanted more with Michael Rooker and with
I did too.
And with the little girl who he kind of has like an older brother sister sort of situation with her, like the pseudo sister, Rooker's daughter, goading him on for his wimpiness was so funny to me in this movie, where they're trying to toughen him up, man.
Dude, it felt like Kick-Ass. It felt like Kick-Ass met up with Hit Girl and her dad.
Good comparison, man.
You know what I mean?
Not a horror comparison, but a completely relevant one in this regard, because the dynamic is exactly the same.
Yeah, and it was really an entertaining film, you guys.
Yeah.
I know we kind of dwelled in the overall. We touched on the story and the overall as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we also touched on the acting a little bit. Dylan O'Brien is great. I mean, he's innocent while engaging, while charismatic. Michael Rooker really elevates in this because of his care for the little girl. Him and little girl team is amazing, and them together interacting with Dylan O'Brien were great. But Michael Rooker can be great, but he can also be great-ting, depending on his project.
And I see the grading, and that's where I was surprised.
But he was great in Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2.
Yeah.
He's great here. He got grading in The Walking Dead. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference.
He didn't have a lot of time, but I mean, he definitely
Time he had was enough to be grading.
Yeah, truly, man. The thing is, with his performance, this was much more so like a Guardians 2 sort of performance, with like taking somebody under your wing and showing a lot more care and compassion than you would probably expect from him as an actor with some of the stuff he's done. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer,
but
shit
care
like
and
that.
compassion in his own way, or it's a very dismissive sort of way, but you can tell there's
it's a tough
care
love.
there.
It's a tough love
100%
sort of thing.
tough love. Good way to put it.
Yeah, definitely.
So engaging characters, I mean, that segues into the acting, pretty well, like we've been talking about.
Yeah.
The engaging characters make for strong performances.
But once again, Dylan O'Brien's character has to shoulder a lot because he only encounters Rooker and the girl for a portion of the film, and then the rest, like a lot of the time, it's him and his dog. Some of his conversations.
The dog was amazing.
Some of his conversations with the dog, where he's just these internal thoughts, as opposed to just sticking in
laid
his head.
out, laid bare,
right there, because he's like, and you would imagine somebody in this sort of situation, they would probably prefer to talk, even if it's to someone who can't respond.
When the dog leads him to safety, and they're in the bus, and then they go through shit. Yeah, I loved it. Here's the thing.
I was also
this
amused.
movie had while it wasn't as good, it had a similar vibe as Jurassic Park, where it is adventure, but buoyed by good emotional beats at times. You know what I mean?
And
it wasn't as well buoyed as Jurassic Park was, but it
Yeah.
was similarly plotted and similarly beated out as a
Okay.
movie. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does, and I mean, I would contend thrills more so than scares. If
That's
makes
fair.
sense. Yeah.
But I think that's also the way Jurassic Park was, right?
Yeah, I mean,
thrills
both being
more than scares.
PG-13 films,
Lots
where
of tense chases and stuff like that.
yeah,
you know
where
what I
there's
mean?
not like a high body count or anything. I mean, higher in Jurassic Park, obviously, than in something like this. But I never necessarily felt like the stakes weren't there, because I was like worried for his character in a couple perilous situations, and then especially like the way the acting goes down in the third act without revealing exactly what happens. Those were some of the best acted moments, in my opinion, in the entirety of it. With oh boy, I just don't want to
okay,
say.
don't say. No, I get what
yeah,
you're talking about. Yeah.
Exactly. And also the amusing aspect of one foreign character who's like trying to get everybody on a boat, and I was just like, oh, this guy. This guy. Like, that was the way that I felt, and the audience, most definitely besides myself, probably felt the same. So
Again, I mean, the technical aspects of this movie were really well done, especially for the obvious budgetary limitations that they had.
yeah, I like the design of the creatures.
Yeah, effects-wise, I think
Yeah.
they were very effective. It was CG throughout, but it was well done CG. Like, I thought it was all really engaging. None of it was so fake that it brought me out of the movie per se.
no, none at
so I was on board for the effects.
I also really dug where he was getting the audience up to speed, and we had some of these like hand-drawn like
Yes.
attacks and
The
stuff
books,
like that.
'cause his book,
his
yeah.
book was great, and even Michael Rooker's character at one point, he's like, "Wow, these are really good."
Yeah, he's
You
like,
know,
this
he's
is
like,
going
"You
to be
got talent,
important.
you got
Yeah.
talent, kid," because he was just putting together that almost like guidebook for survival, and we've encountered this creature, we've encountered this creature, and
Monster,
so on.
and this is what you want to do to avoid this. This is what you want to do this. Yeah, like all that.
Yeah, and some of it wasn't first-hand experiences because he's hiding in the bunker, but nonetheless, he took note of everything that, the people who, and that was another thing, not to jump back to, the story stuff, but there was a really sweet moment with him in contact with the people he left in the
Yes.
third act, which was really
That was
powerful
actually
for me.
I was not expecting that. That
Yeah.
was a lot sweeter than I anticipated it being.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah, indeed. So,
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, this is a well-rounded movie. I mean, it is entertaining. It's got good effects. It's got a great charismatic lead, and it's not, it's a post-apocalyptic movie that isn't zombies.
it's one I wish I could have seen on a big screen.
Yeah,
must
I agree
say.
with you. I agree with that.
This is something like similar to New Mutants, where the third act of that, I was so stoked we got to see it on the biggest screen possible. This is one that I think, with the scale of some of these creatures, it would have been a little
It
more
would have
fun.
helped. It probably would have helped.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it was unsuccessful in the way that we watched it. It was very successful. We think it's definitely worth your time. If you guys took the time to watch Love and Monsters, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Greatly appreciate it. While you're down there, click the link in the description box for our Patreon if you want to tell us movies that you want us to specifically review, do commentaries for, anything like that.
Tell us what to do.
Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird.
And gracias, Jaime Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.